sad, but apparently he's already forgotten about the 13 American heroes who were lost with his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. These are their names, Mr. President. These are their names. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, Marine Corps Sergeant Johanny Rosario, Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole L.G., Marine Corps Corporal Hunter Lopez, Marine Corps Corporal Dagan W. Page, Marine Corps Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, Marine Corps Lance Corporal David L. Espinoza, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley J. McCollum, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakuri, Navy Petty Officer 3rd Class Maxton W. Soviak, and Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss. Mr. President, that's 13 examples of troops that were lost on your watch, and it's shameful that apparently you can't remember that. We do, and we will honor their memory. I said it was a big day on Capitol Hill and a big day in the country. We passed more appropriations today. You saw that. This week you saw the House continuing to work aggressively to push 12 separate appropriations bills, which is the way the law is supposed to work. House Republicans have committed to build that muscle memory back and to go through with regular order. Today we passed 3 more large measures: the Defense Appropriations Bill, the Senate and Foreign Operations, State and Foreign Operations Bill, and of course the Homeland Security Bill. Each of those were bipartisan. They passed out of the House, and we'll send them over to the Senate now. As of this afternoon, the House has now funded nearly 70% of the federal government for FY25. We've done the appropriations process as we were supposed to do, with member involvement, member engagement, amendment process, and all the rest. And it should be noted that the Senate has passed exactly 0 appropriations bills. We need the Senate to do their job, and we need the process to work for the American people, and that's what we'll do. The last thing I want to note, and I'll take a couple questions, this is a big day at the Supreme Court as well. The Chevron doctrine has been overturned, and this is something that is will be a remarkable turn of events. It will allow us, I genuinely believe, to exercise again Article I authority, the legislative branch. The way our framers intended this to work is supposed to have the authority to determine how the agencies of the government work and what their scope is. The Chevron doctrine since 1984 has made that a real problem, because it gave deference to the agencies to interpret their own rules, and that is why the administrative state has grown so far out of control. It's one of the primary root problems that we've been trying to work through here. And so in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court has made the right choice there. I filed an amicus brief in that case. The House filed a brief in that case, and we're delighted by that outcome. It's a long time coming. It took almost 40 years to get here. The other case that was handed down was the Fisher case today, also a 6-3 opinion, and the import of that is the decision says, effectively, the court agrees that a number of the defendants in the January 6th proceedings have been overcharged, and that is something that I also think many people have recognized for some time, and now the highest court in the land has declared that to be so. So a big day. We've made a lot of history this week. I think the debate last night, the reverberations for that will continue, and I think it will have a big effect on our ability to fix the country. Why? Because I think that this will help ensure that Donald Trump is elected president in November, that we take back the majority in the Senate for the Republican Party, and that we grow the House majority for Republicans here. We cannot wait for that to happen, and the American people need it to happen as soon as possible, because we have to fix every metric of public policy. We'll be ready to do that on day 1. So I'll take a couple questions. Yes, sir. Listen, I think what President Trump said in the debate last night was exactly right. He has the evidence to prove it. Remember, these are 2 men running for president who have both been president. So you can ignore the rhetoric and the talking points of all their surrogates, and even the candidates themselves. Look at the record. What President Trump was talking about is his record. And it is objectively true, that irrefutably true, that we did not have hot wars like this when President Trump was in the Oval Office. Why? Because our enemies feared and respected him. We maintain peace through strength. That is an admonition that Ronald Reagan used to remind us of. We believe in that principle. I think it's one of our core principles, and I think that we lose that at our peril. I think President Biden clearly has projected weakness on the world stage. Everyone around the world saw the same display, that sad display that we saw last night. And our adversaries see that as well. And what President Trump was reminding the country of is that Iran and China and Russia and North Korea and our adversaries see that as well. And he was saying, and I think he was right, I don't think Vladimir Putin would have invaded Ukraine if Donald Trump was in the White House. I don't believe Iran, through its proxies of Hamas and Hezbollah, would have committed the atrocities on October 7th in Israel if Donald Trump was in the White House. And he pointed out one of the reasons why Iran would not have had the funding and the ability to do it, because he had tied their hands. And President Biden empowered Iran. That's why we're in the situation we're in. So I think when he said that, I think heads were nodding all around the country. I think everybody in their living rooms and wherever they were watching that debate said, yeah, that's exactly right. We all can see it with our own two eyes.
Mr. Mayor, along with your filed anonymous agreement in support of Stephen Bannon's appeal, do you still expect him to go to jail next week?
I'm not sure what's going to happen in that proceeding, but what was important for us to do is state the position of the House, and that is that the January 6th committee was wrongfully constituted. I think the work that they did there has a gigantic blemish upon it. I think it's illegitimate because now, as we've investigated what that committee did, they apparently covered up evidence and potentially even destroyed evidence. We'll have a large report coming out of the findings, and I think that's going to be alarming to a lot of people. But in the meantime, I think we had a responsibility to let the judicial branch know, the court system know, that we do not deem that to be an appropriate committee the way that was handled in the previous Congress. And so that's what we did in that case, and the outcome will be the outcome, but we had to let our voice be heard. Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Luna has offered up a resolution to force inherent contempt against the Attorney General. Do you plan to bring that to a vote, and do you think that's the best avenue to get the tapes from the Special Counsel for his investigation?
Well, all the House Republicans are in 100% agreement that we have to be aggressive in enforcing the subpoenas of the House. This is about our Article I authority under the Constitution, and we cannot allow the executive branch to defy that. Merrick Garland has refused to turn over something that we are entitled to receive. Because we're pursuing our oversight responsibility under the Constitution, we have to ensure that the transcript that we've been provided of Special Counsel Hur's investigation of President Biden, or his lengthy examination and questioning of President Biden, we have to make sure the transcript matches the audio tape. That is a very reasonable thing and a necessary thing for the House and its investigatory authority to do. The Attorney General is not turning it over. He does not have the authority to decide whether that tape is turned over to the House. He's the Attorney General. This is a special counsel proceeding. The special counsel, by definition and necessity, works outside the scope of the Department of Justice. He doesn't get to make that call. I called the Attorney General myself, and we had a conversation about this, and I said, sir, you have to turn this over. He refuses to do so. The White House, as he has made public and said publicly, has commanded him, the President of the United States, has told the Attorney General not to turn over the tape. I think after last night's debate, I think we all understand very clearly why that is. He will very likely sound exactly on that tape as he did on the stage last night, and that's embarrassing to the President. We're sorry about that. We're not trying to embarrass the President. We're trying to get down to the facts. So, that being said, we're going to be as aggressive as we can. We use every tool in our arsenal to make sure that the evidence that the House is entitled to is turned over. So we are going to court on Monday. We're filing a lawsuit. We are going to go pursue and execute upon that subpoena. And we're going to get the courts, the third branch, to enforce the executive branch to turn over the tapes to the legislative branch. It's an exercise in civics, and we'll be pursuing
So
it.
the court, you're going to go through the court system and not attempt inherent contempt? Is that your plan?
Look, I think the easiest way, the best way, is to allow the third branch to resolve this dispute between the executive and the legislative branch. There may be other avenues that we can pursue, and we're looking into all that, but we're not committed to anything yet. What Anna, Paulina Luna, and I, and all House Republicans agree upon is that we've got to use every tool in the toolbox here, so to speak, because this is very, very serious, a serious matter for the country, and we're going to do our duty here.
Representative Roy says that he's going to put forward a resolution to ask the Vice President to use the 25th Amendment power to cabinet remove President Biden in light of last night's debate. What do you think about that?
Well, there's a lot of people asking about the 25th Amendment, invoking the 25th Amendment right now, because this is an alarming situation. As I mentioned, our adversaries see the weakness in this White House as we all do. I take no pleasure in saying that. I think this is a very dangerous situation. But, you know, unfortunately, it's not the House that gets to determine that. It's the cabinet under the Constitution, of course. It's the cabinet that makes that decision. I would ask the cabinet members to search their hearts. I think, you know, you've all been reporting all day long about the panic that has ensued in the Democratic Party. I would be panicking too if I were a Democrat today, and that was my nominee. I think they know they have a serious problem, but it's not just political. It's not just the Democratic Party. It's the entire country. We have a serious problem here because we have a president who, by all appearances, is not up to the task. And these are very dangerous times. This is a very serious moment in American history, and it needs to be regarded and handled as such. And we hope that they will do their duty, as we all seek to do our duty, to do best by the American people. These are fateful moments.
First
Yeah.
for hearts, isn't it? You think that we should vote this in?
If I were in a cabinet, in the Biden administration right now, in a cabinet, I would be having that discussion with my colleagues at the cabinet level. I would, and I think many of them, I think in their heart of hearts, they understand exactly what we do. They see exactly what we do, and we'll see what action they take. It's a serious situation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Can we repeat?